All right. Well, it was getting a little weird that the Bengals in the Joe Burrow era had yet to figure out the Browns and crack their code, but here we are. The Browns lost to the Bengals in Cincinnati. Final score of 10-23. We'll get right into it. In the first quarter, I thought the Browns defense was doing a pretty good job against the Bengals. The defensive line getting good penetration, the secondary not really letting any receivers run wild on them, and the linebackers were stepping up in run support. I did note that Deion Jones had a pass breakup. Although on the Browns' opening drive on offense, they would go for it on 4th and 1 at the Cincinnati 25. They brought in Jacoby Brissett, and he would overthrow and open Donovan Peoples-Jones in the end zone. I am a huge proponent of getting the points, especially early on the road. You don't have to win the game right there. And even I know that the philosophy is like, well, it wasn't a bad play call because Donovan Peoples-Jones was open. However, and this might sound a little mean, I do think you have to at least consider the possibility that Jacoby Brissett, being a backup quarterback who hasn't thrown yet in this game, might miss an open guy. You kind of have to anticipate your backup quarterback maybe not having the best execution on a play where he's coming in cold, and that's just reality. I don't think it was necessary to heave a bomb to the end zone on a 4th and 1 where you could go up 3-0 and try to build some momentum from there. And the entire first quarter, I'm just thinking the Browns could be up by 3 right now in a game where it looked like points were coming at a premium because it was kind of a combination of both the defenses doing well and also just both offenses being a bit sloppy. And for the Browns offense, the receivers weren't really getting open. Even the commentary team was making note of that. The run game not doing too much. Nick Chubb not having a whole lot of luck on the ground. Kareem Hunt wasn't either. And the first quarter ends scoreless, the Browns with the ball. And then the second quarter happens, and it's kind of a big mess. So at the second quarter, it's kind of apparent that both T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd weren't really playing in the game for Cincinnati. And then the game just kind of turned into an officiating practice. The Browns seeming to get bailed out on a Bengals drive by a holding, but then Tony Fields roughs the kicker. The special teams has had issues all year with stuff like this. Mike Prefer has been under a lot of fire, and I think one of the special teams guys roughing the kicker and giving the Bengals a second chance at a drive when the Browns got to stop definitely doesn't help that at all. And then a hands to the face penalty negates a Jadeveon Clowney sack. Denzel Ward is called on a bit of a ticky-tack defensive pass interference. I felt like the other penalties before that one were pretty valid, and this one was kind of a gross one, but I guess you get some of those in every game. These penalties get the Bengals down to the Cleveland 30-yard line. Joe Burrow would scramble for a first down, and then he fires an absolute dart to Jamar Chase for the touchdown to give the Bengals a 7-0 lead. You can say what happened to the lead up into it, but that throw to Jamar Chase from Joe Burrow was definitely legit. But the next Browns drive starts pretty promising. Watson showing some decent chemistry with Amari Cooper, but a lot of running to the left and not really going anywhere. The drive would stall at the Cincinnati 8-yard line. Both DJ Reader and Logan Wilson all over the field for Cincinnati in that red zone stand. Cade York would hit a 25-yard field goal to make the score 3-7. Late in the half, the Bengals were driving. A third down sacked by the Browns, once again canceled out by a penalty, but this was offsetting holdings, so the third down was replayed, and that gave the Bengals a chance to drive down the field, where Samaje Perine finds pay dirt after just a horrific tackling effort. Mostly Jadeveon Clowney just kind of running past him, just kind of expecting somebody else to take him down. That never happened, and Samaje Perine was able to bounce to the outside to get to the touchdown, although McPherson would miss the extra point, making the score 3-13, and the half would end on an incomplete Browns Hail Mary attempt. Cade York really wanting to try a 68-yard field goal for some reason. He was really upset that he wasn't able to try this. I know that Cade York has a big leg and everything, and maybe he wants to, break an NFL record in his rookie season, but the 68-yard field goal or a Hail Mary, I think I understand why they go with a Hail Mary there. So to start the third quarter, second half, the teams trade punts. Myles Garrett gets a sack. I think that was the first official sack that actually counted. The D-line had been closing in on Joe Burrow all game, and they did have the 2 sacks that were negated by penalties earlier. So the defensive line still doing great against the Bengals offensive line that has had on and off issues all year. But the Browns offense remained stagnant, and then the Bengals burned the Browns defense on a flea flicker from the shotgun to a wide open Trent Irwin to increase their lead to 3-20. Especially this makes a do or die drive for the Browns. And I feel like this drive showcased Watson's best play in a Browns uniform so far. Not a high bar to clear after last week. They converted a 4th and 5 to David Njoku, and then as they got into the Bengals territory and into the red zone, they just decided that David Njoku was going to be the offense now. David Njoku catching a rollout, and he dives with outstretched arms into the end zone to cut the lead to 10 for the Bengals. It was 10-20. That was not only the first passing touchdown for Deshaun Watson, but the first offensive touchdown for the Browns that Deshaun Watson led. It wasn't a crazy pass or anything. It was just kind of a designed rollout play, and Njoku was pretty open. He caught it, and he just ran the rest of the way in. But it did showcase that, this Browns team is capable of having a decent offense with Deshaun Watson under center. The Bengals would drive to the Browns' red zone, and that drive would stall as the third quarter ends. The first play of the fourth quarter is Evan McPherson making a chip shot field goal to increase the lead to 10-23. Hey, that's what the final score is. I wonder what the rest of the game is going to be like. The Browns' ensuing drive just starting when Watson throws a really bad interception to Jesse Bates. Donovan Peoples-Jones was open, but it was thrown way too late. And even regardless, Demetric Felton was open out of the backfield no matter what. So even if he should have looked off DPJ there once it was, it was evident that he was covered, and then Felton was open out of the backfield. That seemed to like it was going to be the dagger, but a Bengals drive that looked like it was at least going to end in 3 points ends up actually leading to a Burrow interception after Jadeveon Clowney tipped a pass, and the ball fluttered to Deion Jones, who then tried to lateral it to Ronnie Harrison for some reason. That almost ended in disaster as it ended up on the ground, but the Browns did recover that. Browns going on a long drive to get to a goal-to-go situation. It was 4 straight passes, and the final 3 were incomplete. Maybe you want to see Nick Chubb at least tried once, but I do understand that Nick Chubb had pretty much been shut down for the entire game. Maybe just want to try to go through the air on that. The 4th down lob to DPJ, I think it was a well-placed ball, but it was also a nice play by the Bengals cornerback Cam Taylor-Britt to knock it down. Although you could argue that DPJ could have extended his arms and at least made a better effort to try to catch that ball. Even that wasn't quite the death knell, as the Browns would get the ball back with about 4.5 to go, although they were without their timeouts. But that drive goes 4 and out as Watson and Amari Cooper are unable to connect on the 4th down conversion. That lets the Bengals get in victory formation, and you get to the final score of 10-23. So Deshaun Watson, he technically did look better in this game, but again, after that debacle that was last week, not really a high bar to clear. His scrambling ability did get them some big first downs. He did a bit better on not missing easy throws, but there were still a lot of moments where he looked pretty bad. That interception to Jesse Bates again sticks out in my head a lot. Joe Mixon and the run offense for the Bengals got a lot better in the second half, so maybe that was some adjustments from Zach Taylor, or maybe it was just Zach Taylor realizing, I have Joe Mixon, and the Browns' run defense hasn't been very good all year. Although I don't put a lot of this result on the defense, the Bengals have a lot of offensive talent, even with Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins missing, and also Hayden Hurst. They are going to put up some points, and I feel like 23, if you have a decent, competent offense, you should be able to at least keep up with that and make that kind of competitive. And you're not going to be winning many games in the NFL if you're only putting up 10 points. The Cincinnati Bengals, to their credit on defense, did a great job shutting down the run. Nick Chubb, mostly ineffective all game. Not taking the early points was infuriating early on, and especially you figure early on in the game, instead of maybe having to throw that 4th down lob to Donovan Peoples-Jones, maybe the score could have been 13-23. You kick a field goal there, you make it a 7-point game, and you're not trying to scramble and go into super rushed urgency mode to at least try to get a 2 scores in a really tight window of time. So maybe that could have been a 7-point game. Puts a little less pressure on your defense. Who knows? Just a rough game all around for the Browns, and it kind of, this was kind of the result you expect on paper, but given the recent history of the Browns and the Bengals, with the Browns kind of having this weird lopsided results as of late, it's kind of the Bengals were in prove-it mode, and that the Bengals were able to show that, yes, they are capable of beating this Browns team. They finally solved the puzzle that a lot of other teams have been managed to solve except for them. And for the Bengals, that kind of leads them to bigger and better things, probably hoping for a playoff berth. And for the Browns, falling to 5-8 on the season, yeah, that's probably going to be it as far as trying to any hopes of making to the playoffs are probably dead by now if they weren't already. It was already hanging on by a thread. The Bengals might have just had the scissors to cut that remaining piece off. So thank you all for watching. If you made it this far into the video, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it and you'd like to see more like it. Let me know if you have something to say about this game in the comments below. I will see you at the next one.